Hello, Professor. This is Michael Cole, and I am presenting my second artifact for Module 3. And it's as far as expanding the UI and the interface for an earlier project that was a metal detector game. So what I did was I added an additional blueprint. This was the original blueprint, which I modified as well, and I'll tell you all about that. But I added an additional overlay here, a UI element, that had a stamina bar and a water bar. Now, water is kind of like the game timer. So instead of having a set game timer that was here on the main interface, I've kind of done away from that, and the player will then be in the environment. The environment will continue to hydrate the player over time, so their water level will tick down over time. And I will eventually have this so that when the player is in some kind of shaded area, then it refills, or as the player picks up certain boxes of loot that have water in them, it can refill and they can then extend their game time. But this is what I've done so far. I had to create bindings for each of these and their own graphs. So this is for the water bar itself, just to read from the player character and to cast the third person character using what I called a stamina bar. I originally wanted to use this or looked into the different tutorials for stamina bars because I felt like I could make that work as a sort of game timer, but it didn't really. So it just wound up an additional feature that I made as well. So that one's up here. And so the player can now run and sprint over a limited period of time as the stamina bar depletes, while the water bar depletes as well. So the third person character needed some modifications as well. This is where all of the fun stuff happens. So I have a stamina check. I highlighted each of the different sections of blueprints that I added or modified. This was an original tick function here. And I built off of that for a stamina check. I also have a taking damage, which is the water level part there. This one I added on after I couldn't get the stamina bar check to work. This is the overall player's stamina here and how to cast to it, to the widget and the viewport. This is their stamina to set, and this is the damage check. So this is the water level. It'll check to see and then remove a certain amount and cast it to the widget. This was all a big learning process for me because I've never been very good at blueprints throughout my whole term here at time here at SNHU. But it was a lot of fun for me to figure out. I had to make some modifications as well to the score. Score was just, it said score in the top left of the player's UI in black lettering, and then a little number next to it that represented the amount of times or the amount of loot boxes the player could accumulate in the amount of time. And it was just score 1, 2, 3, 4 each time you pick up a different box. So I changed that. I feel like it's a lot more fun and interesting and impactful this way. So I'll show you the feats of my labors here for this week's project. So we'll lay that. Now I have the stamina bar in the top left. I made the water bar decrease much more rapidly than I would actually in the game, just to show you that it was working. So you can see it's depleting there over time. I also have a stamina, and I'm running right now. I'm sprinting, sprinting, sprinting. You can see that stamina bar going down, and then you're dead, printing to the screen whenever the water bar runs out. So I can show you that again. And I'll this time pick up some loot boxes. Loot boxes are found by these bright colored lights. That was a feature that I made in the metal detector game itself. See, there's a 1, and then its alpha goes away. So that it just kind of like pops up a 1 and a 2 and a 3 right in the front of the screen. So it's very exciting. 3, there we go, and then I'm dead. So that's the game, and that's the artifact. That's all the different ways I refined it. I added a stamina bar. I added a water level that determines the game timer instead of just having a game timer tick down. And I also moved the score down to the center of the screen and had it, an animation effect tied to that so that it would its alpha would present the number of loot boxes that you picked up in the designated time and then dissipate until the next one would be picked up. So I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you so much. I had a lot of fun making it.